Today's business has 1.2 million a year of revenue. It's profitable, but the business owners are dissatisfied. It's a dad and son organisation and they want to take the business to the next level. The problem is the son, I don't think, is doing the right thing for serious profitability. I'm going to tell him exactly what he needs to do to make more money. Let's do it. Hello campers, welcome back to the Business Broadcast. The podcast is designed to help create your business. My guest today is Oliver Plumtree. JB, tell us more about Oliver Plumtree.
Yes, so Oliver has been trading for about 6+ years, estimated monthly revenue of £80,000 to £100,000 in revenue.
We did just say on the little pre-call he's now doing 120,000 a month.
Well, if he's doing 100k a month, that's a year. No, 120?
Yeah, he said he's built it a little bit more.
Oh, sorry.
So we don't want to do him a disservice, do we?
Sorry, he's doing about 120 grand a month in monthly recurring revenue. And the challenges, I've never seen someone who's given such an in-depth response to the challenges. So as part of the
out. You need to read them out,
yeah,
because I think it will help.
So submission to coming onto the podcast, people have to come on and be open and honest and transparent and share their challenges. So challenge number one, and this has been fielded by Oliver. My dad and myself run a small bespoke fitted furniture company based in Chelmsford. Our first challenge is hiring the right people. We have a turnover of about £1 million, but if he's doing 1.2, then it's about 1.4 now, isn't it? With a 10% net profit. That's the important part. We're struggling to get to the next stage. One of our major challenges is finding good fitters. We have one main contractor who's worked for us for over 20 years, and we have 2 to 3 other contractors that do jobs for us here and there when they can fit us in. We have one full-time employee who goes out with a long-term fitter as a fitter's mate, and he's training to take over from him when he retires in a couple of years. We're currently doing on average 6 jobs a week, and we need to take up to 10+ jobs a week. We pay well compared to the industry standards, but we're struggling to find someone who can commit to us. So that's challenge number one.
I just think, who's making all the furniture in the warehouse? They must have more staff there.
Because when we were chatting to Oliver off air,
let's ask him quickly and then bring him back in.
Yeah, okay, go on, Oliver.
We
have more questions.
Who's the staff that actually make the stuff in the warehouse, or is that you?
That's me. So at the moment, I'm making everything, and then recently I did have someone at the start of last year helping me, and they left, and I've now got someone else who helps me. So it's just the two of us who manufacture everything.
Because if you go onto their website and you see, like, they're making amazing stuff.
Yeah, but so there's 4 of you: fitting, making, running, operating the 1.2 million revenue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Put him back on mute. Let's carry on.
Sorry, Oliver. We'll come back to you in a second. I'm impressed by that. Right, challenge number 2 is leads. We have been using Facebook and Google since 2014 and used it. It's worked extremely well for us. We could spend £1,000 a month and it would generate us good quality leads, whereas we're now having to spend £4,000 to £5,000 a month and it doesn't generate enough quality leads. We've tried several agencies and none of them have given us any better results than we can get ourselves. We also used to get a lot more customer recommendations than we do now. That's interesting. That's not to say our customers aren't happy, because we always receive 5-star reviews. We do, however, get a lot of customers who say that they will leave us a review and never do. We're in a catch-22 where we're not taking on enough work to guarantee another fitter 5 days a week worth of work, which is why we're having to use some fitters that we know are good, who will do jobs here and there for us. So that's challenge number 2. Final challenge, and there may be a few more that we uncovered during the conversation, but challenge number 3, Oliver said, was between me and my dad, John. John does all of this sales and I do all of the manufacturing, admin, sales, organisational tasks, etc. It's quite impressive, isn't it, what they're making and manufacturing with 4 people. For the first 4 months of this year, we had 8 or 9 jobs go in each week and I hired someone in to help me in the factory. However, the fitter that we were using to do the extra jobs has had to have an operation, and the guy that I took on to help in the factory left to pursue a different career. But obviously we've just heard from Oliver a minute ago that they've just found somebody else to come in. We make a decent living out of what we do, and it's allowed us to venture into doing some other business ventures such as property development. Oh no, always going to get told off for residential property development here. And I've managed to buy a family a holiday let.
I like them.
Oh, he likes them. Okay.
I like holiday lets because it's a trading
let.
business, and you
there
can hand it over for inheritance tax with no, and it's much better for tax efficiency. It's very different.
Okay, so he's going to get told off and congratulated at the same time here. But we need some advice on how to jump to that next level where we've got where we can take on another full-time fitter and have enough work for them. Interestingly, we also asked Oliver, where do you want to be in 1 year? He said, we'd like to be doing 2 jobs a day consistently, which would mean us turning over £2 to £2.5 million I also want to set up an e-commerce website to sell the sliding wardrobe doors, mainly to carpenters and DIY people. I spent 10k a month setting up a website, and it does 5 to 8k a month in revenue. I'd like to push this to 20 to 30k. What does the business look like when it's finished? We would like to grow the business to provide us both with a healthy income. Dad is now 58, so he'll be slowing down over the next few years, but would like to continue doing the sales. I would like to be in a position where it can be run without me doing the manufacturing, but still running the business and using it as a tool to help buy more holiday lets or premises that the business can operate from. He's definitely listened to your stuff before, isn't he? Yeah. Does the business make the profit you want it to make? If so, what is it? Yes and no. We make about 100k net profit each year, of which most is taken up in dividends, so there isn't actually much left after that. And that's kind of where we're
just
at.
Be absolutely clear here. Can we just get him back on? I need to ask on that last point there where you said, do you make the profit you want to make? That 100k, Oliver, is that how you pay you and your dad? That's salary.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah.
So I don't think that is profitable. That is a business that then just pays wages. It needs to pay you 50 grand a year each and then make 200 grand profit to then draw extra dividends. At the moment, it's paying you a wage. Would you be fair to say that, Oliver?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it's doing at the moment.
Okay, right.
Challenge. Should we do challenge one first? We'll do it in sort of corresponding order, shall we?
Where does the first of all? I just need to understand some of the numbers.
Where's the 90% going? If there's only 4 of you running the company,
Where's the £1 million spent on?
A huge chunk of it is our materials. Throughout the whole COVID thing, obviously we had a huge increase in our material costs. So a lot of it is that. A lot of it is now marketing. We're probably at the moment spending close to 10 grand a month on marketing.
And where is that 10 grand going on? Google mainly?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, right. So let's just rewind back a bit here. What accountancy system do you use to run the business?
We use Xero.
Right. How often do you look at your profit and loss on Xero?
Pretty much every month. I still do like an average breakdown on each job of the profit margins on each job and just try and keep a track on, try and give my dad some targets to know what he's doing when he goes out selling.
So, but do you print off a monthly profit and loss and discuss it?
No, that's something we should be doing more just at the end of every month discussing.
So basically, let's work this out. Let's say you're running a restaurant. Now, most people that own restaurants are very good at gross profiting and working out the menu profit, but not very good at running it to the bank account. So they go, right, okay, I've got £4 or £5 worth of ingredients. We're going to sell this dish for 15, 20 quid, whatever, take off the VAT. Okay, cool, we're making profit on every meal, but they don't take into account the hidden costs of running a business. You must produce monthly profit and loss of a business of this size.
Yeah.
Who's doing your bookkeeping? Do you do all that as well?
No, I have a bookkeeper that does all of that for us.
So sack her if she's not producing you, or he, a monthly profit and loss by the 10th of the month for the previous month. That should be her number one thing she should be doing for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will get on to her about that.
I mean, when you look in, so you go into Xero, you press accounting, and then there's a profit and loss tab. Do you know where this is on Xero?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know where that is, yeah.
And then you put it for the month. So let's look at December. And then if there's brackets at the bottom, oh no. If there's no brackets, oh yay. And then you want to be looking at the year-to-date position, depending on when you're paid as well.
Yeah.
You've got to get into that habit of understanding the monthly profit and loss. Print it out and discuss it with Dad and get the bookkeeper to lead the meeting. If that costs you another £50 of bookkeeper salaries a month, you've got to start creating board meetings. It will make your business more profitable overnight. It always does. Trust me, it will.
Yeah.
That hour that you do each month will be the biggest change in the profitability of this business. But make sure the bookkeeper's there and she will present to you two that this is your gross profit, this is your net profit, you spend this on this, you spend that on that, and she will lay it out to you.
Okay.
Now, the property that you operate out of, do you rent that or do you own it?
Yes. Yeah, we do rent it at the moment.
And what does that cost in rent and rates a year?
It's around about 30 grand a year at the moment.
So my next thing, before you go and buy another holiday let, that should be the next purchase, that building. Have you
Yeah,
tried to do that?
I have been looking. Yeah, well, we nearly bought somewhere the year before last, but it fell through. I am sort of looking all the time, at trying to
Where you're
buy
up, would the
somewhere that
landlord sell what you're in, or do you not want what you're in?
we would love to have what we're in at the moment, but it's on a farm with a lot of industrial units, and the farmer wouldn't sell us the unit that we're in. He rents everything out.
But have you asked him?
We haven't asked him, but
He
yeah, I
probably
mean,
is
if
going
we
to
could
say
buy
no.
it,
He probably is
yeah,
going to say no, but funny old things, you never know unless you ask. The answer is 99% going to be no, but every 1 in 100, it might be a yes. So I would definitely ask that. Oh, so much here. One of the things as well, I've been on your website. So we're going to spend 10 grand a month on Google, and then they're going to come to your website. Now, what's your average order value for what people are doing with you? So if you do, how many customers you're doing, what do you say, 25 jobs a week?
no, we're probably doing sort of 8 to 10 jobs a week. The average orders around about 3 grand at the moment.
So a significant amount of investment, 3 grand, and sometimes I'm guessing a lot more, yeah?
Yeah,
So I type into Google that I want this particular thing, and you're competing with a lot of people. And the pictures I'm seeing are unmade beds, unfinished plugs hanging out of walls. Even if they're not your part of the job, I just wouldn't book with you. I think some
yeah,
people will, but they need to be like there's a hanging light, messy clothes, curtains not pulled, like a drinks bottle, like that stuff. When you're spending that sort of money on Google, you do need to get a professional stage photographer and pay them to get you 10 really good shots. I promise you that will make a difference, and you can repurpose those shots on Facebook ads, Instagram, all of that stuff. And I probably want a really nice video as well.
we have just started working with a videographer who's been going out to some of our jobs, and he's been in our factory doing some different videos of
Yes, like in the
what goes on in
factory,
there.
you get away with all that because it's a process of
Yeah,
manufacture, and people want it a bit rough and ready. But
yeah,
you're going to pay me £7 for my click from Google. I'm going to land on there. I just don't like that. They need to be staged, beautiful photographs. So that would be my first thing. I like that you've got the number that's easy. I like that all of that stuff's good. That book an appointment, the numbers at the top of the page, that's all really good.
There's also no data capture. So we've been sat on the website now for over 60 seconds and there hasn't been a pop-up box that's asked us for an email address, which in exchange for like a sort of a download or a guide or an ebook on how to plan the best bedroom possible or anything like that.
yeah,
If you're paying for the traffic,
Yeah,
unless you're driving,
it's right at the bottom of the page, which is that's the most
a
important.
free design consultation should jump up within 10 seconds. You'll get a certain level of bounce off the page straight away. You probably see your bounce rate will increase, but I reckon the amount of leads that
yeah,
come through will find out. You'll find that go up, if that makes sense, because at the moment there's too many what you call escape hatches. The good thing about like a Facebook ad
yeah,
or a Facebook lead form, like Facebook lead forms are performing so well in certain sectors at the moment, but probably because it's so hard to get off them. You're only going on there, you can't go anywhere else. Whereas a lot of people like you are doing, you're paying for traffic and then you've got 17 ways for people to escape without giving you their data and their details, and each person's cost you £7.
Yeah.
yeah. We do use the Facebook lead forms as well, but I found that a lot of people who fill those forms out have no intent behind them, and they don't work anywhere near as well for us as Google does.
No, I would agree with that. Social media leads are nowhere near as good as Google leads. I think when people are actually, because you're interrupting their leisure time, aren't they? On
Yeah.
Facebook, oh, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
might give that a go. But when people are going to Google
It's intent-based marketing.
to
It's
book
an
their
intent search.
holiday,
Yeah.
to book their flights, they're
Yeah.
serious about booking the flights. And I think that would go across everything that we do. But still, like these photos, I honestly reckon them 10 photos that I'm seeing, that's, you know, I can see your element of the work is really good, but then everything else around it would just make me not want to contact you. And I really hope that me labouring the point, because if you're giving them two mob that own Google, whatever they're called, Larry and Serge, £120,000 a year, those two are earning more money than you and your dad, and they're landing on their website and they're getting that. That's why I'm just going on and on and on, because I really hope you make a decision and change that within days and weeks at most.
Okay.
I really think it's
I'll be sending your video guy, rather than getting any factory footage right now. I'll be sending him out to the best 5 customers, because there's one on the website. And again, this is a terrible listening experience. Maybe we can put it up in the video. But there's a beautiful sort of like crisscross window set up, and there's like a beautiful built bespoke white, I don't even know how you class it as, like white, almost sort of like country cottage style.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The
it's
work's
really
beautiful,
nicely done. But like I say, in amongst
it's all the other jobs that people are doing that you're not doing, but you will be tarnished with them.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and then you got this dodgy hanging light, which the Sparky's done. It's got nothing to do with you, but I'm afraid it's your problem. So there's just some big things there. Now, if we are committed to spending £10,000 a month on marketing, I just don't think you need to spend it all on Google. I would be looking at influencer marketing. Like I would contact Mrs. Hinch and say,
do a bedroom.
Can we do a bedroom for you completely for free? And you go and talk about it. Now, we had someone on this podcast called Garage Style that do like fancy garages. They actually done my garage and they done my gym. They put all the gym flooring in. Brilliant business. I love talking about them. Go and check out their business on Instagram, because they do local social marketing very, very well.
Yeah.
They do influencer marketing every single day. They're doing free stuff to get people over, and they get so many leads and so many referrals from that. So
They've switched off pretty much everything else other than influencer. They did Jake Paul's, didn't they? They got flown to Puerto Rico to do his garage gym.
Only in the UK, but they do anything to make marketing, and which will come on to the next bit, what you should be doing in the business. And then lastly, the third part is network for referrals. Like all of the builders in the UK, now we spoke about this before they come on, and he said, no, they don't pay you, it takes 30 days to get paid. But if you want to build a £2-3 million business, you're going to have to do some of that stuff. Do it with people you trust, but that's just the way the world works. They're probably getting stage payments. But I think you should be ringing up people that are architects and say, look, if you're doing any, especially Essex architects, they need to know about you. You need to put the time in to go and see them. So when they're recommending you. Are we doing much of that stuff?
Not at the moment. The influencer marketing is something we're getting into more. We've recently done a couple, and we've got some more in the pipeline. But yeah, point on architects, we've never really done that, so that's something.
Architects before influencers, in my opinion, because they're designing for people's houses all the time. Their clients will pay you direct, and you just want to give them a little kickback for recommending you, because you want them to keep on recommending you. Get them to come down to the factory, see what you do. They love all that. I would be sending emails and physical letters to 100 architects a month. But then what the architect's going to do is go on your website and see all the dodgy fitting, even though they know that's not, you just know how it works. You wouldn't just get Rolex putting these images up. You wouldn't get Nike putting these images up, and you just got to get that over the line. So there's some things there, but then let's go back to you. I love that you've got Dad as the full-time salesman. Let's keep him in that role as long as possible. He's not allowed to retire for years, he don't need to retire. Everyone's getting older. Keep him in that, because you've got a full-time salesman. He's probably best in class. But you are operating this business, not growing this business. You're manufacturing, you're marketing, you're building. You are the captain of all hats in this business other than the selling. So if you really want to grow this business, you've got to employ someone in that factory, and you have to go out there and be the income generator. It's very simple.
Yeah, I've got someone who helps me at the moment, who's been with us for a couple of months now, and he's proving to be really good. But then it's just a case of getting him trained up on the saw to be able to cut jobs up, and then getting someone in to replace him to do what he's currently doing.
Yeah.
So it's just a case of getting that next person in, and then
Then it's
getting me
you
out of doing
becoming the master
stuff as well.
marketeer. It's you being the master networker, because that will pay for all those people very quickly. And my view to you would be, well, look, if you're
Yeah.
prepared to invest money into holiday lets, how much does it cost to set up your holiday let?
So
Yeah,
I
little.
bought the first one a couple of years ago, and to get that set up would cost around about 90 grand, which
Which was the
I didn't
deposit,
actually. Yeah,
and
stamp
fitting it,
duty
making it
and
look
all
nicely,
that.
and making it
Yeah,
look good. See, here's the great thing: you employ one person in the factory. I don't know what is their salary, 40 grand a year for something that's a highly skilled
yeah,
person. Yeah, so you're paying that divided
yeah,
by 12. But you're then got 90 days of going out there, bringing in loads of cash. And you just say to yourself, you look in the mirror and say, I will bring in another 50,000 of cash this month in turnover. And then you're on the way to building something more profitable. But you've got to be out there to be the income generator. I don't think you're going to find someone that will do it as good as you. You do that for a couple of
no,
years, you get it to the 2.5, 3 million. If you put someone full time in any business to network business development and go and get new sales in, it usually always works, but most people don't do it. But they're always
yeah. It's
prepared to
just
go and put
taking.
£90,000 into a holiday let that probably, when you break it all down, makes you 10, 15 grand a year profit, or 20 grand a year
Yeah,
profit, whatever it is. But you employ one person on £40,000 a year, you might be doing the right stuff yourself, add another 800,000 of revenue and 200,000 of profit into your business, because there'll be economies of scale. You've paid for the warehouse, you've paid for the rates, you've paid for so much, so much, so much. And I think you should speak to another marketing agency, maybe have a chat with JB and his team, reach out to them, just have a strategy day with someone that can just, even if you're going to do all the marketing, like to really rip it all apart and have a go at you and make you think differently, because that's a big chunk of money to be spending on a business. I mean, you're spending 10% of your revenue on Google, 90%, or so 85% of your revenue on materials and overheads, and then a little bit for yourself. And something doesn't make sense to me. If you're only making 50 grand each for you and your dad, I want to be hearing you're making 50 grand wages and then another 100 grand profit on top, at least. And that's why this
yeah. I
bookkeeper needs to be giving you the financial information.
This set of accounts was actually a bit better than that. It was about 165 grand after tax, which is a bit better than that, which is still just, yeah, it's gone to pay myself and my dad. So it's yeah, we do need
What's
to
the
get.
role of the person in the factory? Is it a chippy? Is it like a carpenter kind of role?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, yeah. So he makes all the chests of drawers, drills all the doors out, and goes on our machine, which is called an edge bander, which puts all the edges on the front of the board.
So surely, in that sense, there, like that's actually quite an easy. I know tradespeople are traditionally not that easy to deal with. Shout out to all the tradespeople, but that's a role where it's quite obvious the skill set that you need, and you might find someone who would, rather than being outdoors in the bloody cold, or is having to find all those jobs themselves, or is sick and tired of trying to do the working for themselves thing, and actually when they look at it they want a PAYE role, that should be quite an easy one to recruit for. And then, like you say, with, as Jimbo said to you, with the lived experience that you've got of growing this business, because you're doing, let's round it down for the sake of argument, you're doing £1 million on 4 people. If you can bring one more person in,
Yeah,
and then
That's
that
impressive.
enables, that's
by the
really
way.
really good.
Very rare that many people would do that. So we call that revenue per employee. You've got £250,000 revenue per employee. It's actually, if you're doing a bit more than that, it's like 300 grand revenue per employee. Now, 165 on that pre-tax. Are you saying that you made 165k after tax or before
yes,
tax?
after tax.
Well, that's very good. on a million. If you did 1.1 last year, so you
Yeah,
probably made
that was all.
so you probably made 210 grand pre-tax. You probably got depreciation in there. That sounds a lot better, and and much better. But
You could bring, like I say, a 40, 50 grand a year carpenter who's like best in class at what they do, but just doesn't want the hassle of running their own thing anymore. Wants to go to
And the
work
good
9
news
to
is-
5 and go work in a nice environment, and then you can add another £250,000 on someone's 50 grand salary.
yeah, I mean, the good news here is you're already in the habit of spending 10 grand a month on marketing, which most trade small business owners could not even get in their psyche, even if you proved to them that it would have results. I just think you're spending the 10K in the complete wrong areas.
Yeah.
And that's
I'd
probably because he's so bloody busy doing the marketing, making the bloody doors.
Ain't got time, yeah.
You're
It's
probably
working
coming
well
in at
enough.
weekend. Are you coming in at weekends to catch up sometimes? You know,
Yeah.
yeah, all of that palaver.
It sounds exasperating. Yeah.
And I think you just, I don't know, just got to say to Dad, look, I think we've got something really good here, but we're all doing a bit too much of the wrong stuff. We're doing all the operating stuff to actually bring in cash flow. And yeah, of course, we need to do that in the early years of business, but this thing is established, it's now making money. We should be investing a little bit of money into a proper tradesman to do all the manufacturing, so that your job is, I'm Oliver. I'm no longer the doer of the business. I'm the marketeer of the business, the income generator of the business. And then you spend 50, 60 hours a week, whatever a business owner will spend, just bringing in more cash.
Imagine what difference that'll make to the business. Let alone the cost saving of your time invested into doing what would be, I guess, for all intents and purposes, like low return on investment kind of work. Although it's high skill set. If you're going out and doing that side of things with your dad, or going in a different direction, going into the architects, going to the networking, going to all of the developers, putting together the brochures to walk into.
Do you know why people don't do it though, JB? I mean, it's because it's not immediate return. You ring up the architect, you send a letter to the architect, you meet them at a networking event, and it doesn't happen straight away, but it will. It's like YouTube and this podcast. No one bloody listened to it for 100, 200 episodes, then all of a sudden you get results. Like my YouTube channel, Oliver, more people watched it in the last year than the 6 years before combined.
Wow.
That's the effort marketing takes. But once you do, I mean, it won't be as bad as that for you, because you're not trying to get people from Canada to listen and America to listen. You just want people, I'm guessing, an hour and a half drive time from Chelmsford. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So much more achievable.
I think as well with the marketing efforts, one thing that's jumping out immediately is that you should be sending those people to a specific landing pages with no escape hatches for one call to action. I'll be split testing those adverts. So I'll be a certain demographic, a certain market with a certain kind of offering, and don't let them go anywhere else. Don't push them to the website, push them to a landing page, capture their data and their details, and then you could be email marketing to them on an ongoing basis as well, because at £7 a lead, it's just too expensive to bounce them out off a homepage.
Well, what you need to do is take 2 grand of that 10 grand in 1 month and get yourself some decent photography. I cannot believe, I cannot urge you enough, because you put that on Instagram without even paid for stuff. Just look at this. And then I would be sending it to every estate agent in Essex and just say, like, if you've got anyone that's selling their property and they want to increase the value, any developers or owner managed, the small developers that are doing it on their own, you need to be like running for local office in terms of running to be the local MP of the town. Everyone needs to know about you. I'm 20 minutes from your place, and we're actually thinking about doing some stuff like this at home at our house. I actually had Bakers of Danbury, very prestiged. Do you know those guys?
I know of them. One of their ex-members of staff works for us for a while.
Oh, right, yeah. So they're
nice little dig there, Oliver.
Yeah. So we've got, but I didn't know about you, and but they're actually going to build next door. Well, I live in a Grade 2 listed house, so they're very good at all that palaver. But you just need to be known. I'm frustrated that you're spending 10 grand a month and not getting the leads that you need to get. And I think a big chunk of it is your photography. And I think you put great photography on Instagram and Facebook, it will get you some leads and inquiries. But you might want to get the influencers to do that for you if you're, because I don't think whoever's allowed this website to go live hasn't had the eye for detail on this.
No.
Nice. I think it's more a case of we've just given them our Instagram and let them take pictures from that, and it's the best pictures that could have been used aren't on there really.
Yeah. It needs to be staged. You need a staging photographer, people that do photography for Savills for selling a £6 million house. Find out who they are. If we're spending 10 grand a month, it's worth paying that 2 grand one off.
Because you use that content for months thereafter.
Years,
if you get a videographer,
years.
you know, like B-roll shots of, you know, you could one bedroom could probably get you 15, 20 short little videos that would work really nicely for TikTok. You know, you go onto Instagram, for example, like hashtag home porn, weird analogy, but like there's so many search terms for that phrase, and people love that aspirational sort of doom scrolling, and you could feature really highly within that. Because again, what's very obvious from the website is that you do a brilliant quality. You've got a brilliant quality of work. You've just not got a brilliant quality of photography, and that's a real shame because you've done the hard bit. You've just not done the easy bit of selling your wares, because it looks fantastic. Some of your stuff.
The quality. I mean, I'm on your home office section, but like the floor's not finished. Come on. Right, we've spoken about that enough. I don't want to put him down anymore. So some homework. You're going to produce monthly management accounts. I think you're more profitable than you actually think now. But the bookkeeper, you've got to do monthly board meetings. I would be tomorrow looking to employ someone in that factory. You become the income marketing generator to give dad more leads, so that you're not spending 10 grand with the Google bros, and you're actually putting that 10 grand to work more efficiently. But I have got a funny feeling the good quality photography will bring that Google bill down, because you're going to get probably loads of people land on there and go, this ain't good enough, off we go. Because there's a new level of good for stuff like that, isn't there now?
Yeah.
You know, remember, the market is always innovating, and if you don't innovate, you evaporate. What people would have accepted 5 years ago, they've got such higher standards now, you know. I always talk about this with cars, you know, like, think about cars. You know, you go back 15 years ago, you've got electric windows. Wow. You've got sat-nav in your car. Cool. Wow. Every Ford Fiesta has all that standard now. And that's a good reminder for people that 15 years ago, you were posh. And in 15 short years, all of that stuff has become standardised. What are you thinking, Oliver?
Just getting these things into action, really. And I know in my head that all of those things should have been probably done a while ago, but now it's just taking action on it, really.
And don't be, I guess, be frustrated. Don't be frustrated. You guys are absolutely smashing it. Like in terms of revenue per head, you guys are absolutely killing it. You do an exceptionally good job of. This is the thing, right? Lots of people can polish a turd. My God, I've done it a few times. But you actually produce something very. I'm trying to with this podcast. God help me. But what you make is fantastic. You just need to get a little bit better at showing it, and also by allowing yourself or buying yourself the time back by not having to work in the business to work on it. And you know, within a couple of months, this will all pay dividends. I think the key thing to walk away from this conversation is there's a million and one things you could change: the photography, the video, the website, the ads, the bookkeeper. Pick your top three. Pick your big domino. What one thing can you do right now which makes everything else either easier or irrelevant? And pick that one thing and take on that task first, and then make that your focus. Then move on to the next thing as you finish each challenge, I'd say.
To finish this little conversation before we do questions, think about this, Oliver. This is in my notebooks, which we're making a lovely Christmas present here in January in 11 months' time.
Great sales pitch.
Chud's design, but they've got all my favourite little lines in.
Oh, I like that. Can I get one of these?
Yeah, you can get one of these.
Thanks, mate.
£35.
Bargain.
Is this: in order to have what you want, you need to work out who you need to become. Combine this with what you need to do to achieve your goals. And the little formula is B times do equals have. You know what you want to have. You want to have a much more profitable business. What have you got to become, and what have you got to do, the action part, to have those things? You got to become the income generator rather than the operator of your business. And this is what most business owners are doing. They're operating their business rather than growing their business. They know they need to be growing it. They can't really afford to do that. but I think you can afford to do that. This is highly established. I think it's a little bit more profitable than you realise. 165k of profit after tax on a million circa business is very good. So I'm guessing it's a 20% pre-tax profit position. That's good, but most businesses are 5 and 10%. So I think you can afford to do it, and that little investment in someone else will make the business more profitable as long as you then go and do the right stuff. And every time you then go into that manufacturing warehouse and start playing with drills and screws, you're not doing the right thing for growing the business, and you should slap yourself with a wet fish and go, no, I'm operating my business, I'm not growing it here. What say you, Oliver? What do you think of the conversation?
No, I 100% agree with what you're saying, and I know that stepping away from that is the right thing to do. It's just having that sort of leap of faith to be able to do it.
Yeah. I've just read through the 5 questions you'd like to ask us as well. I think we've answered most of them.
I love it.
Other than the last one.
Hang on a second, I've got a jingle ready for you here, Oliver. We normally get people to ask their killer question to James Sinclair about entrepreneurship, growing and scaling businesses, becoming more profitable as an enterprise, etc. Scaling up the heights of entrepreneurial greatness. But you've got a great question. I think it's only right that you ask the one question that you should ask right now, Oliver. So what would your killer question to James Sinclair? What would you like to ask him?
So as we're embarking on this journey of trying to get into more influencer marketing, if there's any way that we could work with you and in return for some exposure, we'd love to do a set of wardrobes for you.
Oh dear. Yeah, we'll speak to Tracy, who booked in this podcast with you, and we'll get you in, and we'll do something around my house. It's in Chelmsford as well.
Okay, yeah, it's brilliant.
And I'll put it on once you've done it, I'll put it on my YouTube channel, give you a little shout out. But all the other questions, I think we've answered. Like you said, what is the most effective way to generate leads? You become better. You're doing the wrong stuff. You know that. How do you know if it's the right time to take the leap of faith and grow your business?
It is.
I mean, there ain't no leap here. You just got to employ a carpenter when you're a carpentry business. I mean, is that the leap of faith that we're thinking about here, Oliver?
Yeah. Yes. Just.
I mean, it's really. I mean, it is like. And if it doesn't work out, you let the person go. So the leap of faith is, can we afford $5,000 over the next 2 months in salary?
It's not much of a leap, is it?
So what is the best way to remove yourself from working in the business? See above. Is there anything you would change about the way you grew your business? Yeah, actually, do you know what? I was the same as you, and that's why I have a go about this, Oliver. I stayed too much on the tools when I had my entertainments business. I was doing that sort of stuff for way too long, not doing the right stuff in my business, and that's probably why I hammer people enough, because I was stupid, foolish, and I don't want you to do the same.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Oliver, for being on the podcast. Hope you've got lots of value from it. Again, make sure you touch base with Tracy, and she will organise fitting a set of cupboards for Jimbo Sinclair. You want to hit all of the top echelon of influencers? Well, you've got to start somewhere, mate. God love you. And
just hoping that one day someone from Gulfstream or Rolls-Royce comes on the podcast and offers the same thing.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I know the fella on Bond Street who sells the private planes. We'll have to try and get in with him. See if we get a freebie off him.
I'll sell it straight away and invest it into my business.
That is so you, isn't it? Yeah. You wouldn't even get on the thing. Where can people find out, Oliver, to wrap up? Where can people come and find you and look at what's going to be vastly improved photography in the next 2 to 3 weeks?
So our website is prestige-bedrooms.co.uk, and you can find us on Instagram at prestigebedrooms.
Amazing stuff. Well, thank you for being on the pod, mate. Thank you for being so open, transparent, and congratulations to you and Dad for all of the achievements you've had so far. I think you have just scratched the surface of what you guys can achieve, and if you buy back a bit of your time, I think you're going to go on to great things this year. So congratulations. Thank you for being on, mate. We appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you very much, Oliver.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oliver,
Bye-bye.
live there on the business broadcast. He was a nice fella, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was nice, yeah.
Didn't offer me any wardrobes.
No.
I noticed that, so...
No.
Work to be done on personal brand. Hang on, what's your analogy? I've got be, do, have. I just
B
want to have.
times 2 equals have.
Yeah, I just want to have I want to have the wardrobes.
Okay, you got to make 350 consistent podcasts, and 700 videos on YouTube.
Oh, I might just buy the wardrobes then.
I like joking with JB because the reason I got him on this podcast is because I wanted to make the visual of this better and take the podcast up a level, but he just doesn't stay as consistent as me, other than in exercise and food, which he beats me on. Okay, he's amazing, but I'm trying my best.
Right, my question for you, because you're a guy who's operating lots of stuff all at the same time, right? Who do you turn to? Like in that instance, there's a problem with the leads, there's a problem with the business, blah, blah. There's not a problem with the leads. You've got shit photography. Like that's the big someone for myself.
I think that is his biggest problem.
Yeah, that is.
I think it's. I mean, I would just be like, "What is that?"
Yeah. But he thinks it's good enough. But from having a conversation for 20 minutes and someone just look at his homepage, we didn't even go into the rest of the website or the lead funnel or the sales process because that will resolve most of the issues. Who do you go to, or what advice do you seek when you're making sure that your businesses are operating at the best place and the websites are still looking best practice? Is it a bit different in your instance because you've got a whole marketing team and their job is to keep on top of it, or is there anyone whose advice you go to?
At my level, 20 years, I see my job as income generating.
Still now?
Yeah.
So you're the marketeer of the brand, not the
spend more time with those
stuff.
people, and doing this sort of stuff is all marketing, isn't it?
Yeah.
More hours and minutes are spent on bringing in more sales and growing the business than operating it.
And so when you first buy a business and you have to do a bit of the operational stuff, how do you
I think they're better than that than me. To a certain
Your
degree.
team are?
Yeah. One of the things that we're guilty of now is making sure that the operations suit the business more than the customer sometimes.
Run that back again to me? What?
So what businesses get guilty of is, well, this is operationally easier for the business. So they go, we'll just sell bottles of water rather than having 10 types of drink.
Gotcha.
And you can get into a danger of making it so operationally sound and
You're not
operationally
actually
brilliant
serving
for the business.
Right, gotcha.
And I think, what makes a business tick is price, selection, convenience.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're good value for money.
So in that instance there, how do you
Well, I have
make
to say
sure
to me, you're being careful there. Why are you doing that?
you say that to your team?
Yeah.
But how do you know they're being careful? What's the inkling?
Well, they're trying to make it easier and operate easier, so they have the right intentions, absolutely, for sure. I'm trying to think of a latest here, Roller City.
Yes.
So the food times are too slow here, so we're
Okay.
trying to improve it. So Aaron, who's our group MD, said we'll just reduce the menu, which is usually what any restaurant or hospitality business does. Let's massively strip back the menu.
It's easier to make it. You turn it quicker.
You do less stuff,
Yeah.
faster, boom, boom, boom. So that's convenience because you're getting it quicker, but there's no selection.
Yeah.
And price, selection, convenience, vis-a-vis Amazon, vis-a-vis Walmart,
Yeah.
makes those two business the kingpins because they've got a good price, they have a brilliant selection, and they have a fantastic amount of convenience.
Yeah.
And so I've got to try and weigh all those scales. And sometimes because I'm out of it, I can say, are we making the right decision here? One of the things Aaron said a few years ago as well, I'm a big fan of Aaron. He's worked for me for a long time and he's an amazing operator, but we have good conversations. He said, I think we should just do diet drinks in all of our venues. I'm like, well, why? He said, because then we'd have to buy in less SKUs and it's all. I was like, well, I wouldn't buy a drink from you. He said, oh, yeah, everyone's drinking diet drinks now, but you wouldn't get any money out of me, mate.
Yeah.
So I have to say that I think that's a bridge step too far. So you've got to remember price, selection, convenience.
So how in the structure of running your businesses does that come up?
All the time. There's like,
Is there like a management meeting? You're like,
yeah,
okay,
I do
let's
board
talk about-
meetings and management meetings. So a board meeting every month discussing future direction and numbers for the business.
Yeah.
And then management meetings every week for every business.
So how would the challenge with food here come up in one of those meetings? In what section of that meeting does that
the
come
weekly
up?
management meeting?
And that comes up
The
because
managers
of,
say, "Oh, we've got too much of, it's hard to. We're busy, so it's difficult to feed everyone.
Right.
What's the solutions we've got here?"
so the manager has that meeting with. You're not having that meeting, are
I
you?
am at the moment because it's a new business, so I'll be
Okay.
involved. First year of new business, I'm in every week.
On the weekly management meetings.
Or if a business is in crisis, one of our businesses are not performing very well, I'm there every week.
Okay. So
As soon as it's good, I'm off. So I just get to deal with all the shit.
rubbish. all the time.
It's so great being an entrepreneur. Oh, there's a problem. There's a challenge. Right, I'm in.
Yeah.
Draft him in.
Wheel him in.
Wheel him in.
And then you step out after a year, or when you can see that it's running well enough.
Yeah, or if there's massive... Yeah, like, it's a marsh farm. I don't go to the weekly managers' meetings. You know, they're very little to me to do in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I might be getting more involved in our outdoor attractions, because if we're spending lots of money doing big projects and things are not, you know, I think we can improve on, I'll go back in. But, you know, I'm like a venture capitalist, but without the venture capital fund. I'm just using my own money. So I've got to make sure that we're as efficient and as good as possible.
Well, there we go.
This is why I like... This is the point of this podcast now. You asking me these questions are getting more value for our audience.
Yeah, 100%.
That's going to.
And I'm doing it under the pretense that I'm doing it for you, the beautiful listener / watcher, but I'm actually just absorbing all of this information for myself, so that when I plot your untimely demise and I put you through to Ryan, it was a couple of episodes ago, I take over in a hostile takeover and I know how to do it. So there you go. So in that instance, so how do you not then, right? Final question. How do you not get frustrated in the sorts of conversations that we've just had? So Oliver's a really nice fella, operating a really good business. His one concern is putting in a 40 grand chippy to cut.
Oliver's
stuff.
Problem primarily is his environment. You are a product of your environment.
Right.
So Dad's never done it. He's been trained by Dad.
Yeah.
And if he spent, you know, a year working for me, he'd go back in and be very different, wouldn't it?
He'd love going back in if he'd spent a year working with you, wouldn't he? So who trains you then?
Well, probably my team, and every now and then there's a freak. I'm probably a freak, aren't I? That has just had to think differently.
Elon,
because he didn't have family. If you don't
Sinclair.
have, no, I don't know. I don't think. But I never had coaching or mentorship from a family business. I've found it out my own way. So my children, if they wanted to work for me, would be coached by me. So they're probably better than someone that's a smaller business without making myself feel bigger. But you are a product of your mentors. And if your mentors are not very ambitious and not super successful,
neither will you be.
You're going to get average results.
Yeah.
But how often do people go and sharpen their saw? You know, listen to podcasts, or what do most people do when they're sitting in a car? Listen to music. The top 1% will be listening to a podcast, feeding their brain with good stuff. Most people watch Netflix. The 1% of the 1% are reading books.
Yeah. Attending a seminar.
Or coming to one of our live events. Yeah. Well, just to let you know, guys, we are bringing this podcast live. It's only going to be 30 quid a ticket. We're doing it at the Leicester Square Theatre. Where do you reckon that's going to be?
It's got to be somewhere around Leicester, isn't it? Or near a square.
Leicester Square, London. So we've provisionally booked the dates now. All the details are on my website, jamessinclair.net. So if you want to spend 30 quid and spend the night with us, and we're going to do this live, we're going to hopefully bring up people from the audience, and we're going to coach them live visually.
I like it.
Which
I've got an idea for that night. We're going to do James Sinclair bingo.
James Sinclair bingo. Then we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So that's going to be really good. We're going to do that twice a year. So if you want to find out how you can buy tickets, jamessinclair.net. And then all the other seminars and events that I'm running this year, which will be much more serious than that. One's on buying property, one's on buying companies, one's on marketing. And one is Business Masterclass, big 2-day one in London. And we're going to bring the Business Awards, I think, as well. We're hoping American Express are going to get involved with us on that as well.
And also, if you've enjoyed this conversation, you've got value from this conversation, I can punt this for you because you can't really punt it yourself. Yeah. If you are a business owner who's looking to scale up your enterprises, check out Entrepreneurs University. There'll be a link in the show notes or the description. This is Jimbo's, basically it's like online coaching, but Jimbo hates coaching people, you know, so his contribution back to society is this podcast. But the Entrepreneurs University is a very, very, very valuable resource. It's like having a world-class coach mentor who doesn't want to show up digitally, but he shows up digitally.
Yeah, and video lessons.
Yeah, video lessons on all of the stuff and how he operates the business. Blueprints, I remember back in the day, me and Chud used to laugh our heads off. Whatever marketing material, do you remember Chud's back in the day? He just had to say blueprints.
Yeah.
He was obsessed with the word blueprint. Anyway, it's all in there. Entrepreneurs University. Yeah. 40-day free trial. JamesSinclair.net.
Yeah,
try it for free. You get your money back.
Yeah,
I've listened to your podcast too many times.
Yeah, for sure. You're on it now. How's your business going, JB?
It's going very well, thank you. It's not quite the Elon Musk-esque levels that you've got to. We had an amazing September, average October, an amazing November, diabolical December. It is a little bit up and down with needs.
What do you do for people? Just say, because people have been listening. He's been on in 4 episodes now. This is your 4th episode, man. They must be thinking, what does he do other than supermarket?
Other than being a male model, you say. No, we do podcast production, content production. So we launch podcasts for people. We do content. What we like to do is joined up thinking marketing. So we're like a business outcome marketing agency. We don't just do the waffly stuff. I wouldn't run that guy's adverts for him and go, there you go, that's cool, because his website's rubbish. So I tell him, your website needs improving, and if you didn't want to do the improvements of the website, I'd be like, we're not the agency for you.
Yeah.
So joined up thinking business marketing agency.
And if people have been listening to you for 4 episodes and thinking, he sounds lovely. Where do they go? What's the name of the company?
They can go to Phonic Content. Phonic Content is our company.
Spelled with a
F. Yeah, just
PH.
PHONIC. Just Google us.
PH. The same letters that you have after your name.
There you go. Sort of.
Dr. James Burt is on the show.
Yeah, Doctor of Waffle.
If you've loved this podcast and you know someone that should listen to this conversation that we just had with Oliver about growing their business, please just share it with one person. It helps more than you know.
Who are you going to share this one with?
Probably you.
Okay, that's what I would do. I just share it with you and vice versa.
I share it with everyone on the internet by putting it on Apple and Spotify.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you listen to the Acquired episode? I told you.
But I tell you, guys,
we should do a podcast shout out each episode.
Yeah,
as well,
the podcast
is brilliant.
I think there are a number of podcasts other than our own, mine, that you get to sort of shimmy in on.
He gives and he takes away.
Which I think is a great concept. But there's Business Movers and Business Wars by the guys at Wondery.
Yeah, that is
outstanding. They're just brilliant. Go and check them out. And then lastly, Acquired. I think the production is nowhere near as good as Wondery.
No,
but probably better.
Yeah.
For entrepreneurs, 2 guys that break down the world's most famous companies,
and they break it in like 3-4 hours. It's broken down into such depth.
It's amazing.
It's like an A to Z of how they do it.
They're so smart, them two, aren't they?
Yeah.
The Costco story is great. The Sony story is great. The Amazon and Walmart story. They've done a Taylor Swift episode.
LVMH, the Louis Vuitton. That was a good episode.
Yeah, amazing.
Anyway, that's enough about other people's podcasts. Come back to this podcast sometime soon for another edition of how to help people grow and scale their businesses. But for me, James Burt, and they're much more successful and arguably better looking.
No, I think you're better looking.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
So I think you've got it. Now you're pounding the gym 4 days a week. I think you've got it, mate. See you next time. Ta-da.
See you next time. Bye-bye.